the night that explains everything. It's late, around 11:30 p.m. You're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, completely exhausted but unable to sleep. Tomorrow, you have a dentist appointment you've already rescheduled 3 times. You know you need to go. That tooth has been hurting for months. But here's the truth. You're not thinking about the pain. You're thinking about the numbers, the balance in your account, the electric bill due in a few days, the money your child needs for school, and rent. Rent is getting closer every second. So you start doing the math again, quietly, repeating it in your head like it might somehow change. And somewhere in the middle of that calculation, the dentist appointment disappears. You tell yourself you'll handle it later, not because you're careless, not because you don't value your health, but because your brain simply cannot carry one more problem right now. It's already overloaded. And here's the part most people never understand. That isn't a personal failure. That is your brain doing exactly what it's designed to do under pressure. The truth about poverty. We've been taught to think poverty is about money, about income, budgeting, or discipline, but that's only part of the picture. Because real poverty is about mental bandwidth. When money becomes uncertain, it doesn't just affect your lifestyle. It takes over your thinking. It occupies your attention. It consumes your ability to focus on anything else. And the more pressure you're under, the less space your brain has to make clear long-term decisions. So instead of building a future, you're stuck reacting to the present every single day. What scarcity does to your brain. There's a concept in psychology called tunneling. It explains what happens when your brain is under constant scarcity. When you don't have enough, your mind narrows. Your focus locks onto the most urgent problem in front of you. Everything else fades into the background. You're not choosing to ignore the future. You literally can't process it the same way anymore. Studies have shown something shocking. When people are placed under financial stress, their cognitive performance actually drops, not slightly, significantly. We're talking about a decrease similar to losing a full night's sleep, or even being intoxicated. That's how powerful scarcity is. It doesn't just stress you out, it reduces your ability to think clearly. The hidden cost you never see. Think of your brain like a computer. It has limited processing power. When your finances are stable, money runs quietly in the background. It doesn't demand much attention. But when you're struggling, money becomes the main program. It's constantly running, constantly calculating, constantly demanding attention. And because your brain has limited capacity, something has to give. Long-term planning disappears. Health decisions get delayed. Opportunities go unnoticed. Relationships get less attention. Not because they don't matter, but because there's simply no space left to think about them. Why good opportunities slip away. Imagine this. You're behind on a bill. It's urgent. You need to fix it now. At the same time, there's an opportunity in front of you, something that could help your future. Maybe it's saving, learning a skill, or investing in something long-term. But you can't focus on that. Your brain won't let you. Because right now, survival feels more important than growth. So you ignore the opportunity, not because you're bad with money, but because your brain is stuck in survival mode. And that's how people miss chances that could have changed everything. The cycle that keeps people stuck. This is where things become dangerous, because this isn't just a moment, it becomes a cycle. It starts with financial pressure. That pressure consumes your mental bandwidth. With less clarity, you make short-term decisions that solve immediate problems, but those decisions often create bigger problems later. Those new problems increase your stress even more, and now your brain is even more overwhelmed than before, so your decision-making gets worse, and the cycle repeats over and over again. This isn't just a financial trap, it's a mental one. Why it's not your fault. This is the part that changes everything. Most people believe struggling financially means they're doing something wrong, that they lack discipline, intelligence, or effort. But that's not true. Your brain is reacting exactly the way it's supposed to. It's prioritizing immediate survival over long-term thinking. That's how humans have always survived. The problem is, modern financial stress never really ends. There's no clear danger is over moment. It's constant, and your brain stays stuck in that high alert mode. The real price of scarcity. The cost of this isn't just emotional, it's very real. When your brain is overloaded, you delay important decisions, you avoid things that feel overwhelming, you push problems into the future, and those delays almost always become more expensive. Small issues turn into bigger ones, opportunities pass by, time slips away, and all of it adds up. Not because you didn't try, but because your mental resources were already maxed out. How to break the pattern? Now here's the important part. Understanding this gives you an advantage, because once you see the pattern, you can start working around it. The first step is simple. Reduce the number of problems your brain has to juggle at once. Even a small buffer, a little breathing room, can make a huge difference because it frees up mental space. The second step is removing unnecessary decisions. The fewer choices you have to make daily, the energy you save. And the third step is awareness. When you feel overwhelmed, when you can't think clearly about the future, remind yourself what's happening. It's not failure, it's scarcity affecting your thinking. The shift that changes everything. Once you understand this, something powerful happens. You stop blaming yourself. You stop thinking, why can't I get it together? And you start asking a better question. How do I create space for my brain to think again? Because that's the real goal. Not perfection, not instant success, just enough space to move out of survival mode and into progress. And maybe the most important thing you take from this is this simple realization. You were never behind because you weren't trying hard enough. You were never stuck because you didn't care. You were operating under a system that quietly drains your ability to think clearly and then blames you for the results. That's the real trap. Not just the lack of money, but the lack of mental space. Because once your mind is constantly occupied with survival, you're not living anymore. You're reacting. You're not building, you're just holding things together, hoping nothing else breaks. But here's the good news. Even the smallest shift can start to change everything. One less worry, one automated decision, one small buffer, one moment where your brain finally gets a little breathing room. That's where it begins. Not with some massive breakthrough, not with overnight success, but with space. Because the moment your mind is no longer drowning in constant pressure, you start thinking differently. You start seeing things you couldn't see before. Opportunities that were always there suddenly become visible. And that's when real progress starts. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, the next time you're lying awake at night doing the math over and over again, remember this: you're not failing. You're in survival mode, and survival mode is not where your story ends. It's just where you've been stuck. Now you know why, and that means you can start finding your way out.